These people have each won a battle, the battle for their lives. All of them were born early, much too early. Amina's mother faced a severe infection midway through her pregnancy.
The infection threatened her life, mine as well. They decided in the end to perform a C-section in the 26th week.
At birth, Diego, now 11 years old, weighed just 515 grams.
I just cried, most of all because I couldn't even get close to my baby.
And then there's Lukas. His survival was something of a medical miracle. Ever since, nothing has been easy.
This year I had my first ever vacation on my own.
Their fight for a self-determined life continues. Are you ever done with being a preemie?
It never stops. I tell mothers to put on their battle gear and never take it off. It never ends.
Things are out of joint.
Hi, my little one. Hi. Mama's here. Yes.
Amina is already with us, arriving 3 months too early. Her world, the neonatal ICU of University Hospital Essen in Western Germany.
My little fighter.
Amina's mother spends hour after hour by her incubator, giving her daughter as much physical contact as she can.
You're doing so well.
It's critical for the baby that mother and staff replicate the proximity of the womb as much as possible.
The labor came as a big surprise to me. She was born too early, in the 26th week of pregnancy. I had premature contractions and was taken straight to the hospital. The doctors examined me in the delivery room, and then my water broke.
Jamila had little time to deliberate. Her third child was born far too early. An emergency C-section, intensive care. The full procedure for what are called extreme preemies, short for premature. For the next 3 months, a hospital discharge is out of the question. Even after that, the challenges are far from over.
I've been told I have a long road ahead of me. Even after she comes home, there'll be more tests. Throughout her early years, up until school age, she'll need regular monitoring to check for any possible impairments, or if she needs any kind of extra therapy.
But what is a preemie? Babies born more than 3 weeks early are considered premature. According to the WHO, worldwide there are 13 million premature births each year. In Germany, roughly 1 in 11 newborns fall into the category. Outcomes can vary greatly. Lukas' mother says you're a preemie for life. He's 27 and lives near Munich. The effects of his extremely premature birth are visible, but Lukas refuses to let them define him. He trains and trains hard. Several times a week, he pushes himself to the limit.
Training is especially important to me to combat the effects of cerebral palsy, which I live with as a preemie, that is, spasticity. It strengthens my muscles, so I don't feel as stiff in daily life. I also build muscle to stay physically fit and boost my self-esteem too, of course. That I've gotten more fit so far hasn't had much of an impact when it comes to women, but maybe that's still on the way.
At birth, it was a matter of life and death. Lukas' mother was expecting twins when she developed a severe pregnancy complication and could no longer carry them to term.
My husband was told they didn't know if any of the 3 of us would survive, and they'd inform him when they knew. Lena weighed 290 grams, at the time the smallest preemie in Germany to survive birth, and Lukas weighed 515 grams. He was more stable, but still not in the clear. After 3 days, they knew I would survive, but it took longer for the children. Our daughter Lena passed away from a severe brain hemorrhage after 1 week. With our Lukas, they only knew after 3 or 4 weeks that he would make it, but not what the long-term consequences would be.
Adding to her burden, the hospital made it almost impossible for her to bond with her baby, standard practice at the time.
It was almost 2 months before I was allowed to hold Lukas for the first time. I knew the night nurses had already taken him out to cuddle him, but I, as his mother, was only allowed weeks later.
It
was a sign to me that I wasn't welcome. You're just a visitor, but the baby belongs to the clinic.
In the past, it was considered a success for a preemie to survive at all. Researchers considered the quality of life after that a secondary matter. It took a long time for hospitals to realize how crucial physical contact is. The drama of his birth and its consequences, for Lukas, it's still a strange story.
It took a very, very long time to really understand it. That's because I didn't want to actively deal with it. For me, it was always a negative story. I avoided looking at it.
When we finally got home, we thought everything was fine. But that was just the beginning for all of us. When he was 2, he wasn't walking. He wasn't even crawling, he was just rolling. The neurologist would always say, "Well, he's a preemie, he'll grow out of it." That was the stock phrase we heard for weeks and months.
They don't grow out of it.
It's a phrase Britta Höning, head of pediatric discharge management in Essen, never wants to hear again.
Prematurity has impacts across an entire life.
Even as adults, many preemies live with neurological problems. They may face paralysis, struggle with sight or hearing, or endure frequent respiratory illnesses. To start from the beginning, in the neonatal intensive care unit, it's initially all about survival. Breathing is critical. Medicines that allow extremely premature babies to breathe have only been available for 40 years. Prior to that, children like Amina wouldn't have stood a chance. Very premature babies born in the 6th month have an average survival rate of 60%.
I think she's so adorable now. She's not an alien baby.
She has a pretty face, beautiful hair, a lovely body, and a beautiful skin tone. Just incredible. Even her first touch, very cautious, just barely touching my hand, was like, "Okay, everything's fine."
What's your greeting ritual?
I put my hand gently on her back and say, "Good morning, Amina. Mama's here."
What happens, though, when the machines set off an alarm for Amina?
The hiccups again?
A break in breathing.
Then you massage the chest a little, just to remind her that breathing is part of it. Right now, the priority is for Amina to grow and learn a few things. Breathing would be a good start.
She does tend to forget sometimes.
Exactly, it's just that her brain still isn't fully developed. That pacemaker that says, "Take a breath," it's just not fully matured yet.
It's all about Amina's survival right now, and yet the two women are talking casually. Panic won't help anyone. The doctor offers reassurances and explanations.
When we look at 20 weeks, the brain is almost smooth. There aren't even any folds yet. You can really see how much the brain develops in the last third of pregnancy. And this development has to happen while the preemies are in our unit. Amina was born 4 weeks after this smooth brain stage, and if we looked at her ultrasound images, we'd just be seeing the beginning of cortical folding.
And when everything goes well, meet Diego. Only around a third of children born as early as he was grow up without experiencing any long-term effects. For his mother, he's a little miracle.
When he was born so small, we never thought he'd develop this well. Absolutely, we're very proud.
Today, despite his poor initial prognosis, Diego is an active teenager. Born 3.5 months prematurely and weighing just 580 grams at birth, he endured 3 months of intensive care. His mother lived with permanent uncertainty.
I was crying all day, from morning to night. I just cried, especially because I couldn't even be near my baby. He was wrapped up in this incubator. You really had to search to find him. Thousands of cables and needles, oxygen tubes, and then this little black thing, as I always said. His eyes weren't open yet, and he didn't even have nipples.
And then a nurse came to me and said, "Congratulations, this is your son." I looked inside and he was in what I always call a bubble, as if he was covered in plastic wrap. I couldn't recognize anything. The nurse said, "You can touch him," but I didn't dare. That was my first moment. I went back to my wife and she asked, "What does he look like? Is he cute?" I said, "Yes, he's cute."
You have these expectations. Does he have your eyes or my nose? But of course he didn't have any of that yet. You're really afraid to touch him. You don't want to hurt him or break anything. He was just so small.
Looking at the pictures now, what do you think?
At first glance, is that even me? It's just crazy. My parents always tell me I could fit into the palm of a hand. And that feels somehow weird, but also kind of amazing.
He's doing well in school, and for his best friend Jan, it doesn't matter at all that Diego was a preemie.
I've known Diego for, I think, 5 years now. Since first grade in school. Elementary school, yes. Diego's a really nice guy. He's just like anybody else.
The family's certain. It's thanks to the doctors at the clinic, which, unlike in the 90s when Lukas was born, catered to the needs of preemies.
We are very, very grateful for all the help and excellent medical care during his stay and afterward. His fighting spirit, of course, too. If he hadn't wanted to live at 580 grams, he wouldn't be where he is today. That needs to be said.
So, no longer-term effects? Perhaps not for Diego, but for his parents. Diego's now 11, doing his own thing. That's hard for them.
We're just so emotionally attached. He's still my little preemie somehow. When other kids are on the playground, it's fine, but I always feel like I need to watch him even more closely. It's just something in my head.
Everything comes a little later. For Lukas in Munich, that's true to this day.
This year, for the first time ever, I went on vacation completely on my own. To Lake Chiemsee. I booked my own hotel and traveled alone with just a backpack. That's a big milestone for me, and I'm proud and happy about it. I had 3 or 4 days on my own at the lake, watched the horse festival. I'll not forget that as long as I live.
All that in his mid-20s, which is not uncommon among preemies.
I was never really one for the big school parties, the social groups, the cool kids, as they say. I was the one sitting home alone on Friday nights, not going to parties. I didn't drink alcohol because I didn't like it, and I didn't smoke because of my preemie lungs. It meant I was always an outcast.
There were challenges with teachers and educators, too.
In kindergarten, they recommended he go to a special needs school. They said he couldn't handle a regular school and said we'd be overwhelming Lukas. We really had to fight, even when he later moved from elementary school to high school.
Educators and teachers still lack understanding of these children's special needs. When you consider that, statistically, 2 out of 25 children in a class are preemies, we need to be doing much more to raise awareness.
I believe that without our determination, he might have ended up in a workshop for people with disabilities, even though he has an IQ of over 120.
With good support and his fighting nature, though, Lukas wound up at university, enrolled in empirical cultural studies. He completed his master's degree with top grades. Now Lukas has set his sights on a PhD, studying the relationship between humans and big cats. This means he's off to Kenya. His former professor, Irina Götz, is confident he'll achieve his goals.
Yes, of course, because he knows what he wants. I mean, it's definitely harder for him. He'll need physical support to go to Africa. He'll certainly also have to put in more effort with some things. It's apparent when he's writing. While we might jot something down quickly, he thinks it through longer. Sometimes that's an advantage. It could mean he's reflected about it more deeply.
It's especially challenging as a preemie because I need support. I can't just go to Africa alone without assistance. I need someone to carry my luggage, someone to drive the jeep, and sometimes even a translator. I simply need someone who can help me deal with the physical demands of months of travel. That's the biggest challenge that comes with being a preemie.
Lukas knows that being able to undertake such a journey is a privilege. In other parts of the world, many preemies still aren't getting a good start in life. His mother Zilke has made it her mission to change that. 25 years ago, she began volunteering, at first locally, then across Germany and Europe. She plans to advocate globally for preemies and their families in the future. The foundation with this as its aim already exists.
At the moment, we're collaborating with many professional associations, more than 90 experts, the WHO, and even pediatric associations in India. We're still working on Pakistan, but we also have connections in China, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, many countries in Africa, South America, and of course the usual Western countries. We don't currently know the global situation, how many premature births there are worldwide.
Back at the university hospital.
Hello, my little one. Mama's here.
Amina has something to celebrate.
So here we've got a little balloon for Amina because today she weighs over 1 kilo, 1,050 grams.
Super, my little one. Amazing.
We'll attach it to the crib so she always has a nice view of it.
Thank you so much. We did it.
That's the first step.
Very nice. Thank you. That's so kind of you. This milestone of surpassing a kilo is really incredible. It makes me so proud as a mother. Just unbelievable. Beautiful.
For Amina, this is just the beginning. It remains unclear how much of this will impact her life. But the care she received in ICU provided an ideal start.
You're doing amazing, my darling. Mama is so proud of you. Yes, so proud. Always keep going, my sweetheart.
Immer weiter so. Schön hast du das gemacht. Kleine Kämpferin, ne?